Good evening to all the participants. This is your host, Dr. Sandeep Bhasin, and I will be basically doing the panel discussion with you. The topic of the discussion is reimagining, rethinking, and rebuilding Indo-Euro relations towards a new academic alliance. Now, before we start the discussion, I have a prequel to this. What I've done is I have just collected some data, and I'll be sharing the data with you as far as the commercial aspect of our relationship is concerned. And then I will give you a hint on what exactly is happening with the national education policy in India. And we will try and align that with the education system that is followed in the European Union to find a meaningful solution to this whole issue of relationship that we would like to build between India and European Union. So, this relationship between India and Europe basically started way back in 1960s. In fact, we were one of the first countries, India was one of the first countries that started a formal agreement with the European Economic Community way back in 1960s. And in 1994, we took over the bilateral relationship beyond the trade and economic cooperation. The relationship was upgraded to a strategic partnership in 2005 or so. The European Union happens to be India's third largest trading partner, accounting for 88 billion euros worth of trade last year, that is, which is approximately 10.8% of total Indian trade. Whereas India is European Union's 10th largest trading partner. So from third to 10th, that's where the trade balance comes in, a kind of a issue happens over there. And this happens to be close to about 2.1% of European Union's total trade in goods. When we specifically look at services, we actually export close to about 30.4 billion, approximately 30.4 billion euros between us. Now, this is as far as the corporate part of it is concerned. Now, let's try and look at the education part of it. Now, when we are specifically referring to the national education policy that got released by the government of India last year, in fact, they are absolutely going gung-ho about one particular aspect, which is internationalization of education. And just to help internationalization of education, specifically from India's perspective, and that's the main topic for today's conversation, what the Indian government is basically proposing, which we as educational institution has already started working on, is a start of dual degree programs where two universities come together and they issue 2 degrees to the students. We are talking about twinning program where you do part of your studies in your home country and then you do complete your studies in your partner university. And of course, we are talking about Indian universities starting satellite campuses abroad, and we are inviting leading universities from abroad to come into India and start their satellite campuses. Now, what exactly am I trying to do when I'm trying to connect these two aspects together, which is one part of it is, of course, the commercial aspect. The other part is the education aspect. It all boils down to one particular thing as to how do we really prepare our students for this concept of globalization, bilateralization, and of course, like Mr. Shashi Tharoor coined the term multilateralization. Now, everything is boiling down to these two aspects of bilateral and multilateral trade, and that's the reason why I shared those figures with you. The whole idea over here is just to understand how do we really play with education. One part is, of course, the kind of relationship that we are trying to build amongst these two countries, these two areas, these two regions. And the other aspect of it is how do we really take this understanding forward where we manage to create a meaningful relationship in terms of a better cultural fit, a better trade benefit for both the regions. And just to help us understand with these topics, We have with us our panelists. I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce all the panelists to you. We are joined by Thorsten Baxchick. He is the managing director of SRH Ho Chi Minh University, Berlin. Dr. Baxchick is MBA in and is currently the CEO of the Berlin University of Applied Sciences. Formerly, he was the managing director of EBS University. He was the CEO of Laureate Germany Holding. He was former president and managing director of BITS University of Applied Sciences, former strategy consultant, Monitor Company. He's joined us directly from Berlin. We have got Professor Dr. Mohammed Ashfaq. He is the director, IU International University of Applied Sciences, Germany. Professor Ashfaq is widely recognized as an outstanding and experienced business and finance expert with more than 13 years of international experience. He is currently working as Professor of Finance and Accounting at IU International University of Applied Sciences in Germany. He is also regular visiting faculty member at Wittenberg University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands and international MBA program at Coburg University, Germany. His research interests include international finance, digital transformation, which happens to be one of the main areas where Amity University is also trying to create a good presence. We are talking about fintech, emerging markets, and global financial systems. Professor Ashfaq is the author of the book Islamic Banking and Finance in Europe, the Case of Germany and United Kingdom. He also conducts TV lecture series on Islamic finance in Pagam TV network. He was for his cutting-edge research contribution to the area of Islamic finance. Welcome, sir. We are joined by Mr. Manu Shade, Managing Director and CEO, Mercedes-Benz Research and Development, India. As a Managing Director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz Research and Development, India, Manu leads the largest research and development setup for Mercedes-Benz Group AG outside of Germany. Manu holds more than 27 years of experience in the automobile innovation and engineering sector. He has served across various leadership positions and played an instrumental role in achieving organizational transformation by effectively navigating complex business situations and challenges. With a special focus on ensuring safety of the passengers and road users, Manu leads an extensive team of over 7,000 talented individuals who play a key role in accelerating the future of smart and sustainable mobility and delivering world-class solutions across the global projects. Driving digital transformation at Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India for various innovations, innovative products portfolios of Mercedes-Benz AG. He launched the Mercedes-Benz startup Autobahn in India to develop cutting-edge solutions in collaboration with Indian startup ecosystem. Manu received his bachelor's in engineering degree from University of Mysore, India. We are joined by Mr. Vangapandu Venkataraju. He is the CEO and founder of German Versity and Indo-Euro synchronization. He comes over here with more than 8 years of experience managing and growing resource for education and research. Accomplished entrepreneur capable of identifying new opportunities and sustaining extraordinary business growth. India Star 2020 awardee recipient. Mr. Venkat is post director at Export Academy at Battenberg and SGIT Stainbase University. Tübingen University, Director of International Post Development and Execution, EABW and SGIT Steinberg University, Germany. Mr. Venkat finished his graduation in the field of aerospace engineering and did his master's from RWTH, Aachen University, Germany. He entered into entrepreneurship world and is in his early career as of now, he is holding the responsibility as a director of four direct international companies located in various countries such as Germany, Finland, Netherlands, and of course, India. A warm welcome to all the panelists. Like I said, we will be basically discussing about a specific issue, which is how do we really collaborate amongst these two regions, try and see how we really try and end up build a manageable relationship, a relationship that would hold us in the right spirit. So let's start with you, Ms. Sonia Parashar, who's joining us from India. She is the Deputy Director General, Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. So Sonia, with your permission, I would like to ask you the first question. I gave you the background about how India is placed as far as Europe is concerned in terms of trade, and how we can really build a meaningful relationship between India and the European Union, the whole European region, in terms of education per se. Now, today we have more than 1,700 German companies operating in India. Now, German development cooperation with India remains a major component of this bilateral agreement or bilateral trade. But immediately after COVID, we observed a gradual change in the acceptance of globalization as a movement. And we literally moved towards bilateral and multilateral aspects. Of course, just to give a background to this particular thing, we are basically talking about things like China plus one. We have a major issue with supply chain. And ultimately, it challenges the original concept with which globalization had started, which was one world, one market. Now, I just need to ask you, how do we really try and use these concepts of bilateral and multilateralism, which is slowly and steadily replacing the concept of globalization, at least in the short run, to really try and create a sustainable future for these two regions?
Thank you, Dr. Bhasin. First of all, greetings from the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. We talked about India and EU, and I would first specifically, of course, talk about India and Germany, what I represent today. And first of all, the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce is celebrating the 67 years of existence in India, which meant that the relationship between India and Germany is even older than 67 years. We already celebrated 70 years of cooperation as well. So coming to India and Germany, we've now got really close to 2,000 German companies in India. You mentioned 1,700, but we're close to about 2,000 companies right now. And of course, the focus has been automotive, machine tools, chemical, pharma, and of course, IT services as well. And of course, big focus on R&D, which of course, probably my dear colleague Manu from the German industry will talk about later. So when it comes to India and Germany, I would say India and Germany are basically made for each other. Both are bound by democratic values and have complementary skills and resources to power the next generation of industrialization, infrastructure development, and many more areas where Germany can play an important role and is already playing an important role when it comes to several industrial development, R&D, skilling, training topics. And when it comes to what India has to offer, and that's what we make as a pitch also to the German companies, that we've got three things to our credit. Of course, democracy. Second, of course, is demography. And the third is demand. And I don't think so there's any other place in the world which can present all these three factors in one go under one roof. And that's the reason that the potential of Indo-German cooperation is absolutely huge, because Germany's inherent strength is actually lying in the precision, high manufacturing, and I repeat again, the R&D. This is a very, very important aspect of German precision and German manufacturing. And that's what most of the German companies active in India are also doing. Because, not that all Indian companies, the kind of percentage what we are spending on R&D in India is nowhere in comparison to what other nations are doing, and that's where we need to kind of cooperate. Also considering that India's advantage in the coming years is going to be in talented manpower. As recently the McKinsey's head said that by 2047, India would be the 20% of the world's working population. I think, again, the cooperation between India and Germany has many leaps and bounds to grow. And 1800 to 2000 number is still not a number, because when I compare it to China, we've got about 5,200 German companies active in China. So today is India's moment, and today is where India and Germany can cooperate together, and Germany being the leading investor, or in terms of also presence amongst EU companies in India. And we are also the sixth largest investor in India as well. So when it comes to what can we do more, I would say first, also change the image of India in the EU media as well, or even in the German media as well, because India probably needs to be presented even in a more acceptable and more lucrative way, because it's not going to be just the decade, but also the century. And also considering that India and Germany has worked over the last 70 to 100 years together, and they both are strategic, important partners with, again, I talked of the same democratic values, family-run businesses, and also what India needs is skilling and training and R&D at the core of the business. I see a huge potential for the future next 10, 20, 40, 50 years. Because again, India is offering sustainable markets. Also in the, you talked of bilateralism, lateralism, globalization. From my point of view, I'm still a fan of globalization. And I would say we cannot reverse globalization today. Yeah, we are talking of self-reliance, but we're also talking of, self-reliant, sustainable supply chains in the globalized world. And we just can't simply, work in singular nations. And so we need to work together. And from my point of view, globalization is there to stay. And we just need to find out the right mechanisms. I'll just pause here and add some comments later.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sonia. In fact, what you have done is you have actually opened the Pandora's box, because the next thing that we have is something to do with artificial intelligence. And I'm 100% sure I'll get back to you with a specific question with regards to how the technology is changing our lives and how is it going to impact the relationship between India and Germany specifically. Germany obviously happens to be the leading partner with India when we collectively look at the Indo-Euro relationship in terms of trade. So let me just move to Dr. Mohammad Ashfaq. Dr. Ashfaq, a very pertinent question again. This particular question is directly related to the kind of research that we faculties do. Now, I just did a search on the internet and I got a figure of 28,000 journals get published every year. And in these 28,000 journals, we have about 1.8 million research papers getting published every year across the globe. Now, the question is, how do we try and create meaningful research? So let's move away from the quantity part of it and let's try and move to the quality aspect of it. How do we try and create a meaningful research by involving our students? Now, this is only a thought which I want you to share your views on. By involving our students who take this particular aspect of research throughout their career of close to about 40 years, because that's what they are going to work. Yeah? Throughout their career of 40 years and make them a lifelong researcher, rather than they researching only till the time they are doing their studies and they are finishing it off. So the whole idea over here that I'm trying to propose is that if we can extend this relationship between the academia and the industry by using our own students and move away from the quantity aspect and move towards the quality aspect. Okay, I just need to pick up your brains on understanding whether this kind of an idea is really workable, or it's only a fiction.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep, and thank you to other panelists for joining it. Indeed, it is a very interesting and very valid question. As you said that every year 1.5 million papers are published, and this question or the idea viability, if we look at it, depends on several avenues. We need to look at what are national policies of various educational institutions, and if we look at that from global point of view, we see there is divergent views regarding the publications. Many countries, they have different standards of publication. They have different indexes where you can publish your papers, and that can be recognized. So this is the one thing we need to look, and we need to develop a collective system in which we can have a standardized approach, not only particular for a specific country, but rather incorporating other countries, so an holistic approach towards improving research quality. The second thing, in my point of view, is to find out the way so that we can develop more and more research, and especially to those topics which are the need of the hour, like sustainability, transition to a green economy, and artificial intelligence use from the ethical point of view, and other emerging technologies. So in order to develop such kind of standard and bring a large number of stakeholders on board, that is a major challenge in this regard, as well as you said, research beyond the academic the degree and academic education. So if someone has started working after a master degree or after a bachelor degree, then it also play an important role of in industry. What incentives are we going to give them so that they can keep parallel doing something innovative research? So are there any funded opportunities available to those people who are working in the industry, and what incentives an employer can offer to those employees who would like to go beyond their 5 to 9 o'clock job? So this is another question that we need to address. Surely, there is no doubt that we need to enhance not only the number of the quantity, rather we need to focus on the quality, so that the original research can be can address the challenges that our society and that our globalization we are facing.
Thanks a lot, sir. In fact, when you were talking about artificial intelligence, when you refer to research and development, we are joined by Mr. Manu Shade, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz Research and Development in India. So this particular question is for you, Manu. After listening to this conversation that we have had so far, what do you think? Where exactly are we leading? Where exactly is the gap between the academia and the corporate in terms of research? That since you are handling the research and development of such a big organization here in India.
First of all, thanks for the invite. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Ajay, good to see you again. I think to your question on research and development, and to the comments also from the panel, there's a huge need right now for research in general as a topic, but simply for academia to step up. And I'm talking about our setting in India, a setting where many of the world's problems, and into the context of our discussion, like Sonia ji said, for me, many of the German automotive problems land up on the computers right here in Bangalore and Pune in our offices. And there is an excellent opportunity to solve some of these problems, right? In the field of mobility, for all our viewers, right now, there is an extremely disruptive transformation that is ongoing. We have been driving vehicles like we have for the more than 136 years now. And with discussions around autonomous driving, with discussions around electrification of the powertrain, with discussions around hyperconnectivity. The way we're going to go from point A to point B is going to change dramatically over the next years. And for customers of Mercedes-Benz, luxury mobility and, like Professor mentioned, sustainability are going to be top of the mind agendas to kind of redefine that product. And research plays a role exactly there, Dr. Bashin. And we are from India picking up some of these, and I'm making it really simple for the audience now, within our family, picking up some of these world problems from R&D that land up on our computers and trying to solve them with talent from the region, right? While I completely agree with Sonia ji that one of the biggest attractions we have for a company like us to operate with the large scale in India is the demography, the talent in many ways. The gap between academia and industry is the one part that hurts us a little bit right now. Industry in general waits for a certain amount of time before talent is really ready to solve a bigger size of a problem, a more complex problem, so to say, or a more research-oriented problem. We are not yet there. That has had its consequences over the years. India would have risked, I say. I think we are kind of turning the ship a little bit in a good direction now, but would have risked just being called the back office of the world, would have been risked just called the best extended location of the world. From there to get into a real R&D definition, companies like ours, but also the society at large, simply needs to look at research. And like you rightly said, research not just for the sake of a degree, but research as a way of life to solve societal problems. And we're doing that in our own small way within the boundaries of Mercedes-Benz. Today, after celebrating 26 years in India with its R&D operations, about 13 to 15% of all the IP that's created for Mercedes-Benz globally comes out of India. That's a sizable number because you're talking several hundred patents created, several complex problems in the space of mobility that are solved out of here. There is a catch, of course. There is a strength to India, which is digital. We've been known from the 90s as an IT nation. Meanwhile, as part of the NASSCOM ER&D circle, I'm focusing on engineering R&D to be the next big thing that comes out of this country. Along with other companies that are part of our ecosystem, we really believe that engineering R&D has the potential to scale, but also solve some of the most complex problems. Mobility, in my case, but I also know colleagues equally well from healthcare and from telecom and several other sectors that are trying to do their bit, manufacturing engineering, for example. For the panel today, of course, we bring all the touch points to Europe or to Germany in particular. At least healthcare and mobility certainly play Industry 4.0 and the world of manufacturing to play a huge role in tying these two countries together. And coming back to your question, right now the industry is working overtime to make up for this gap. Gap not only in terms of educational qualifications, but simply in terms of culture and mindset, right? We've had a journey of mindset change towards the innovation goals that we've had. We've had a journey of culture and mindset change to think about research as a way of life. At 23, most of our engineers graduate with a bachelor's degree and want to jump into a job. Societally, for those who worked across the cultures, we know that's not an age when I have a German colleague starting his or her career, right? They're way more deeper, first of all, in exposure to life, if it's called social Arbeit or military Arbeit, whatever they have according to time. Then they're probably traveling around the world, stuff that we were making fun of. But when we actually met the 28-year-old starting his or her career, they were way more mature, way more thinking about societal issues in a different way compared to what engineers in our culture and country did. And I started my career at 23. Looking back, I would have probably spent more time in the academia, probably spent more time honing some other skills before I got in there. The industry taught me a lot of things, but these are some of the gaps, Dr. Bashin, that we see where we are kind of fighting to fill. Last sentence from my side, I think India is also struggling a little bit between the volume and quality gap. It's very easy to kind of offer the next 100 coming out of India to solve ER&D and IT problems for the world. It takes quite some investment for you to hold back that 100, that they spend some more time thinking about life in general, but certainly in our context about research in general before they actually dive into the industry. We'll do ourselves a world of good there if we kind of switch that mode a little bit, considering especially the demographics of this country.
Thanks a lot, Manu. I'll come back to you with a specific question with regards to your global CEO's visit to India last month. I will come back to you. But before that, where you had left, I have a very pertinent question, which again connects with what Mr. Manu said. This particular question I'm directing to Dr. Thurston Baxchik, who's the managing director, SRH Houston University, Berlin. Now, sir, the question, basically, the conversation that started was the gap between academia and the industry. I gave the figures of the kind of research that we academia are generating over the years. Now, when I look at specifically when I look at Indian students studying in Germany, so last year's figure is about 25,000. So last year, 25,000 Indian students were there in Germany to continue their studies. Now, obviously, this figure is only going to go up with the way the economy is growing. This interest of Indian students in Germany can obviously help both the nations develop a well-oiled relationship, so to say. Now, we would love to hear from you your thoughts on how can we as academicians work together to help this bridging the gap between the industry and the academia, specifically with regards to the kind of research that we are doing at both the levels, at the university levels.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. Yeah, you just mentioned this impressive number of students being in Germany right now. You know, it started all in the 1950s when basically the earliest collaboration were there, established with the Indian Institute of Technology, which was modeled after the German technical university system. And since then, of course, the IITs have been becoming a world-renowned system of excellence in engineering and technology. We later saw with the advent of the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service, basically offering scholarships to Indian students to study in Germany. The number of Indian students really began to increase. And today, you mentioned it, I think there are more than 34,000 students in Germany today, which is one of the top destinations for for Indian students abroad. And of course, we want many, many more. So overall, the collaborative partnerships between India and Germany in higher education have been long-standing, have contributed significantly, I believe, to the development of our countries, to academic and research capabilities. We are basically aiding in the advancement of both countries, and SRH is committed to creating a platform for mutual exchange and building a knowledge base, basically. And our professors and colleagues have already established a strong presence and visibility in India. At the same time, students from India flocking to our operations in Germany. So our programs are especially in the fields of engineering, IT, supply chain, management sciences, are home to several hundred students from India today. And we started to receive significant numbers of students from India already in 2001. So we have a track record of over 20 years now of receiving students from India and sending them back and or, of course, starting careers here in Germany, in Europe in particular. It is our intention to really, leverage our relations with India. So currently we are in government delegations to India. We want to leverage that into teaching and research as well. And today, I believe, coming back to your question on the research and academia, I believe it's very important, and I connect to what Mr. Manu just mentioned, the world problems. I believe, if we really focus on things which are very meaningful and very relevant to us, we can address this Generation Z in particular. And I believe a good example, of course, is for example, the Indian targets for renewable energy. I believe there's a vision to achieve, for example, zero emissions by 2070, but also attaining short-term targets like meeting 50% of energy requirements from renewables. And this is stuff we can really collaborate. And, you know, for example, in Berlin, we have an engineering program on renewable energies. And of course, students and later in their career, PhDs or professors, they publish. That's one part of the equation. But in our education approach, for example, we do a lot of company projects. So we really focus on projects which are meaningful to companies, yeah, which are meaningful to today's challenges in the industry, in society, and students work on that during their studies. They also have a job with the company at the same time, but they spend a lot of time in doing this, you know, company projects and doing practice-oriented research and projects. Also, of course, they can use time of their bachelor thesis or a master thesis to work on tangible projects to solve real problems. They do that in teams, so there's a lot of, you know, soft skills attached to it. So it's not only the technical skills we give them, but also the project solution skills, the team skills, language skills, of course, important if you're in a different country, etc. So I believe the applied approach, the tangible approach to real problem-solving skills is part of the equation. And I think that's important to focus on and to have a real tie and connection with industry.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, sir, for that insight. In fact, the next question that I have, which is a continuation of where you have left, is it really possible for us, in the short run that is, to build a seamless education landscape across regions, across nations? We are not just talking about, say, India and Germany, we are talking about the globe itself, taking a leaf from globalization. I mean, even if we just dump the multilateralization and bilateralization aside, if you're just looking at globe as one single unit, the global village, as we were told, you know, as we were taught earlier. Now, is it really possible for us to build a seamless education landscape across these regions and across these nations for easy movement of students and academia? In the short
I don't know about seamless, yeah, but you know, I mean, Europe started with Bologna, yeah, so the Bologna sphere for you know more than a decade has been a huge development in Europe in terms of, you know, going into bachelors, going into masters, going into ECDS as a system, going to exchange opportunities. And of course, even that is not seamless. Yeah, so even the small region of Europe hasn't really managed to achieve seamlessness, but we're getting there. I think if you have the right people, if you have people with a heart for international education, with intercultural exchange, etc., you can make it happen today, and not even in the European sphere, but worldwide. For example, in Berlin, we have 100 partnerships with universities around the world. We are very happy now to really engage with Amity Education Group to further this type of exchanges, as my colleagues in Heidelberg already do, which I learned yesterday. And we have students right now from 104 nations. So these students, you know, they come more or less seamlessly into our system, either degree seeking or, you know, as students only for semester. And I believe it's possible. I think it must be a network of universities. It must be a network of passionate scholars, a network of passionate organizations and universities to have that vision. And there are a lot of vehicles. I mean, you know, in Erasmus, for example, in other international contexts, you have a lot of vehicles to really start it up and to have this type of exchanges and to build bridges. You know, one vehicle, of course, are double degrees. Another one is semester or year exchanges. Another one is different tracks. We have, you know, like tripartite programs in different countries. And I think if there's we have a German saying, if there's a will, there will be a way. So let's work on it.
Okay, thanks a lot. In fact, we are already in talks with you with regards to giving shape to these kind of programs. Now, Professor Ashfaq, a related question to you. The question is again, with regards to single uniform learning platform across universities around the globe. So what is happening at this point in time is that every country has got their own way of teaching, and when you have your own style of teaching, when you have your own way of teaching, there is a kind of a gap that gets generated between the studies. If I move out of, say, India and move to do my master's in another country, there is a gap, and this particular gap is generally filled by us giving a kind of a recap to the students, so that they are at par with the rest of the with the rest of the students in with the rest of the students in that particular batch. Now, if we are seriously looking at one globe, one market, and one education system, do you think, is it really possible for us to take a conversation to such a level where there is an absolute, like I used the word seamless in the last conversation, is there a way by which we can have an absolutely seamless shift between universities for the students from across the globe? And
Well,
if yes, what is the solution? I mean, it shouldn't sound like a myth. I'm worried about that.
Well, thank you so much, Sandeep. Again, it was a pleasure to hear my colleague, Dr. Torsten Beschek, talking about the Generation Z and the seamless in the earlier question. But to be honest, this is a quite very ambitious question that you asked, and ambitious goal that could be. However, if we look at the current, the scenario at the moment, that tells us a completely different picture. If we look at, just give you an example, if we look at the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on higher education, and if we look at how this COVID-19 pandemic has also increased disparity. So you talked about the knowledge gap that any student from Indian subcontinent coming to Europe, and then there is a gap, and then taking retake courses. But on the other hand, if we look at not far away, just a couple of years in the span of COVID-19 pandemic, we see that there were some countries, they were very open to the online education and new methods and tools and business models of education. On the other hand, there are some still universities and countries that are quite conservative in terms of digital education, or primarily distance learning education. So, and if we look at the current academic and higher education scenario, that is quite diverse, and each region, for example, the European Union, they would like to, integrate, first of all, within the European Union, their academic institutions are exchange programs and so on. So I don't think so that it is possible in the short run, or even in the medium or long run, that we can achieve, or we can even move towards this one set of standards that are applicable to all 190 or 95 countries, because we have quite a diversity. Look at India, China, Europe, and then Africa, and North, and so these USA region. So that is a quite diverse. So I'm afraid we do not have a one size solution that can fit to this problem at the moment. However, as India has its own national educational policy, and if we have close collaborations, exchange of students, faculty members, and there is some kind of consensus among the stakeholders to develop some kind of knowledge sharing mechanisms. At the moment, for example, if a particular university has a unique delivery mode or education way to teach their students, they are not going to share that platform with other universities, because that particular university has spent a lot of time and resources in terms of building that model. So I would like to bring the example of my university, IU International University of Applied Sciences. We are currently having more than 100,000 students. So we are actually teaching from three business models. So first, our business model is the physical education. We have two international campuses, one in Bad Honnef that is close to Bonn, and then the other one in Berlin. So we welcome international students, and we have extensively collaboration with a range of partners in various countries. The second mode that we have is dual studium. Dual studium means we have German speaking, mostly in DACH region students. They couple of days or 3 days they spend in an industry, and couple of days they spend at university, and the industry pay their tuition fee. And then the third model that we have is the online education. So we have been working from the last 2 decades to develop a cutting edge model in our distance learning, to teach online, and we were very successful in bringing several partners during COVID-19 pandemic on the board, because we believe that from our mission and motive, from our values and vision, that everyone can access the education. So if we would like to make everyone to access an education in various parts of the world, then certainly we need to develop some kind of platforms in which we can scale the academic activities and operations. So therefore we are very open to share our model with other stakeholders, and to play our part in educating the young people, so that the societal challenges like inequality, unemployment, poverty, which have been quite accelerated during the last couple of years due to COVID-19 pandemic, can be addressed.
Okay, that was a bit discouraging, because I thought that since we are literally looking at building a kind of a bridge between different universities, we would be in a much better position to really try and build one single curriculum, and then the student moves from one university to another university. But I take your point very, very seriously, that yes, we need to work a lot to build this kind of a system. Possibly it would take a lot of time. Now, over here, I would like to pull in Venkat, who is the President and Managing Director of German Center for Advanced Studies, and he is the founder of Indo-Euro Synchronization. He basically works between these two regions to build a kind of a curriculum that can be seamlessly transferred from one particular university to another. So Venkat, this particular question is for you. How do you do that?
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Sandeep. So how to build the curriculum? Yeah, okay. This is actually easy and also tough question, I could say, because actually Indo-German Development Cooperation actually became a strong pillar of a strategic cooperation between both the countries. Even not now, even actually this kind of activities, even 2008 itself, both the countries celebrated 50 years of celebration. So for this reason, it is very, very important what are the disciplines countries are focusing, and also what are the interests of the universities in the other side. And for example, earlier, both the countries are focusing like energy, mobility, and urban mobility, and this and the climate change topics. And now the digitization and digital manufacturing actually coming into the picture. So it is also very important to understand what is the universities and also the industry focus in particular thing. And I would like to say, I would like to divide this curriculum design into the 3 different levels. One is the basics of education or basic education. Second is vocational education, and third is the higher education. So basics of education, like a basic education, where we are focusing more like strengthening the school part. And further, the vocational part, like the hands-on training, and majorly what the industries actually German dual studies well known for. And third part, as you already mentioned, the 6 months exchange, 1 year exchange, and summer school concept and double degree model, what you mentioned earlier. So the several academic models is redefining the requirement of both the countries and the universities and industries. That's how to understand the requirement and awareness is very important. So to reach this excellence, I really would like to say 3 A's. First, we need to know the accessible to the requirement, and then we need to accelerate, and also we need to achieve. And in the practices, what we used to do is, as you mentioned in my introduction, as I am from the RWT Chakan University. So I studied my aerospace there. When I was actually Indian student studying in the German university, in one of the topmost university, what I realized is the skill gap and actually answering or addressing the skill gap is very important when we are building these relations. So that's how first we need to get into the requirement analysis. Further, we need to understand the trainers of trainers. We need to have experts who is looking into it. And further, we need to create a model which is actually also suitable for the Indian students. And so as we are having esteemed panel members, both the universities, our alumni, in both the universities like SRH and also in IU, our alumni is there, and also very close partnership with both the universities where our students actually going there. So what we have done is actually, if you see the German varsity and Indo synchronization, we created a multiple clusters of universities in India and Germany, and also the governmental bodies. For example, even actually the offer or the opportunity extended to Amity students also last year, where your students can come 6 months to Reutlingen and Potsdam, Kempten, all state universities, along with our partner universities here. This is how we really need to have a strong blend of requirement analysis. Then we need to connect the dots, what actually we can do. And also, as you see, and also as Dr. Roshan mentioned, the several vehicles are there, like Erasmus and Erasmus Plus. And since 1950s, Germany is a strong partner and also supported in building the esteemed academic bodies like IIT Chennai, where RWT Chakan is a strong partner, where there is a Indo-German Center for Sustainability. Even they are actually funding the industrial fellowships and curriculum design and all. And especially in the time of pandemic, in COVID conditions, DAAD came forward and actually, given a fund to create a online-based or blended-based curriculums. So several universities already actually taken this advantage, and industries also partnered to it to do the real-time analysis and create excellence centers and center of excellences, and further to develop the curriculum. So this is actually the requirement versus the adaptability between both the countries is very much needed in order to create a new curriculum between the countries.
Thank you. Quite a challenge. That's quite a challenge. Now, when I would like to just move to Manu over here. Manu, you were talking about artificial intelligence. Now, your CEO, global CEO, had visited India last month, and he obviously must have discussed with you the kind of relationship that can be developed between different research centers from across the globe, especially between India and Germany. If you could just throw some light on that, and at the same time, if you could also add your views with regards to the new technology, artificial intelligence, or digital technology, or digital transformation that has become the buzzword today, as to how Mercedes-Benz is really taking these things forward in terms of building a system which would ultimately try and deliver what the consumer expects from a brand like Mercedes.
Yeah, thank you for that. And since we have at least two academicians on the panel, but also talking to a university, I'll kind of keep that question a little bit oriented to the research that's needed to get there, but also kind of connect to the existing relationship and the, let's say, strongly improving relationship between Germany and India. Yeah. And of course, you asked this in the context of the visit of Ola Kalenius, who is our global CEO recently, not his first trip at all to India, but an increasingly important trip right now with the background of what we are going through as a company. I believe that corporates are in some ways a microcosm of the society. So whatever you experience in corporates is a small representation of what largely happens out there. And that's why the reference to the two professors on the call who probably not in agreement about where Germany is right now, if they're observing the society in general, and how India can right now extend a partner hand in so many ways. So what happens within Mercedes right now is there is a huge wave of digitalization in all forms that's going on within the product, right? For a product that's 136 years old, which is still driven heavily by cutting edge mechanical engineering, for somebody who knows the automotive and who knows Mercedes is a brand which says the best or nothing, there's a huge amount of cutting edge mechanical engineering that goes into it. But over the last decade or so, both on the design side of the product, but also on the content of software within the car, digital has come in suddenly and come in big ways within that automobile. And why I referred to my two academic friends is this is where Germany kind of reached out, because Germany has not been the West Coast right now in terms of when it comes to digitalization of products and development. I've had the chance to discuss this in Berlin with some Mittelstand companies, and it's the same thing that you recognize always, that when it comes to digital, Germany is looking for a partner within Mercedes-Benz too. Germany is looking for a partner, and that's when India stood up, and the India that we know, the young India that we know that's digitally very oriented. It's unfair to just call it software, because even the world of mechanical engineering within the four walls of Mercedes-Benz right here in Bangalore is very, very digitally oriented in terms of product development. And the significance of this visit is simply to strengthen those ties again. Yesterday, we had our strategy update at Sunnyvale, and we've just been announcing to the investors how the car is turning even more into a software product on wheels. And when we say this, we've been saying this with the best knowledge that we have locations like India to support us to be a software company eventually. I mean, an automotive company is saying its product is driven by software, and none of us in the call are surprised with that. I guess medical devices, entertainment devices around us are all driven by software content, defined by software content. The car is going through a similar transformation. And for the amount of software and digital that's going to happen in the car, India is needed right now in big volume and in large depth at Mercedes-Benz to solve some of these problems. And that's the background of the visit. And before I go into what's discussed or what promise we hold for each other, headquarters and us, we're not only talking about software that we spoke in the 90s, we're talking about deep tech within the car right now. You can use any fancy terms to discuss deep learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge devices, chip to cloud, our own discussions on semiconductors that we started or at least announced to the world yesterday, and the whole 9 yards between chip to the cloud that we as an OEM are talking about. That's the new world of technology that literally every product company is talking about. So coming back to my analogy of corporates being a microcosm of the society, I guess every product company right now, German product company for sure, requires a big steroid shot of digital engineering. And that's the reason why the two countries have a potential to grow even more strongly connected to each other. That's at least our background. I know the background from most other German companies that operate in this space in India too. And they all will claim to be active in that same space. And for those of you from India who are watching this call or who kind of connect ourselves with the digital prowess that we bring on the table, it's a natural fit that these two countries come together. One country with extreme precision engineering and a history of precision manufacturing, and another country that's suddenly come up now with cutting edge digital skills and can actually fit in very beautifully to solve each other's problems. That's the background of the visit too. So we discussed even deeper relations, even more development into every Mercedes that can come out of India, even more lines of code, if I may put it that way, that can come out of India. And as we look at customers, especially the customers of the future, would probably enjoy some of our connected cars, autonomous cars, certainly electric cars, for which we are fully committed. I think software and digital are going to completely dictate that product, and a huge amount of that contribution is going to come from here. Deep tech, of course, playing a huge role in that. With that background, I think, and with confirmation from the Indian ecosystem, not just from academia that we met policymakers in Delhi, but also saw what we can do for ourselves out of here. I think that's a very deep commitment to each other from the brand perspective.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So Sonia, we started with you. We'll end this particular conversation with you. When do we see the world talk about or move from talking about China plus one to India plus one?
I think the time is perfect. I talked about it. India Okay, so when we have German delegations and visits over these years, and when they talked about how successful they were in China, and they thought they could cut, copy, paste the China success in India, our first guidance to them was that you cannot cut, copy, paste the China model here in India, because of the system, because of the democracy we talked about, because of the principles where Indian government or Indian population works on. And India is a very special example on this planet. Again, I go back to the 3 Ds, which is democracy, demand, and the demographics. So the potential is still huge, and it's obviously not tapped completely, but the atmosphere of ease of doing business here in India is something where both India and Germany can work together as to create this ecosystem where German companies with their precision engineering and digital footprints, which they like to obviously make it feasible with Indian collaboration, is something which both the nations have to look at. And of course, I'm very pleased to announce that of course, the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, is visiting India on the weekend, and we are quite hopeful that the relationship between India and Germany will be strengthened. And they would, of course, chalk out a roadmap in the topic of sustainability, in the topic of skilling and training, in the topic of course, future mobility, and of course, in the topic of artificial intelligence, and of course, climate action, and of course, sustainable development goals as well. So these are the topics which India and Germany can work together, and there is no, the next China. India will never be the next China. Of course, that is why they say China +1, because both the markets are important for the German industry. And India is, of course, a unique example. And we have proven that German companies can be successful and have been successful in India. And what we need to do is work on creating that ecosystem where ease of doing business becomes a little better. And via the various stakeholders, including the German industry in India, and I will also talk of EU industry in India, via the various bilateral mechanisms which we already have. I think it is possible. I'm quite hopeful of it. And I'm also very big fan of this Indo-German India-EU cooperation. Because we are, again, a natural fit, and yeah, I'm quite positive about it. I mean, we can keep on talking about various intergovernmental mechanisms which are already in place, and they only need to be improvised day by day. And yeah, we look forward to this next decade, if not century, or next few decades of Indo-German cooperation.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for ending this particular panel discussion on such a positive note. I'm sure our students who have joined in, who are watching it live on YouTube, who are watching it live in the campus, will take away a lot of learnings from this particular conversation. And I promise, on behalf of all my colleagues at Amity University, that we are definitely going to work towards building a research-oriented career for our students in the future. Now is the time for our special announcement. We are so pleased to announce our partnership with SRH Hochschule University, Berlin, Germany. Dr. Backstick, Managing Director of the University Berlin, is here. So would you like to say a few words, please?
Yeah, I'm very happy to finally, caught up with Amity Education Group. I learned in our SRH system we already have, some basic cooperations going on. So I'm very happy to explore, the new pathways we just discussed in terms of, short-term, long-term, mid-term, whatever type of academic exchanges are possible there. So I'm very much looking forward to work with you as the biggest private group in India. And I think, we are a good fit in terms of being foundations, being large academic operations. And I think this is the time to really deepen and strengthen the relationships between our countries, as we heard before. And just to tell you a little bit about SRH for 1 minute. Basically, we are a German non-profit organization founded in 1966. We focus on education, health, and social welfare. Our mission is to help people to develop their full potential and to achieve an independent and self-determined life. And in pursuit of this mission, SRH operates a network of universities, vocational schools, hospitals, clinics, and social service centers across Germany and in other countries. Overall, today we have around 17,000 employees, mainly in the medical sector, and 18,000 students across our universities in Germany, the Netherlands, and in Paraguay in South America. And and focusing on the topic of this session, I really hope that we can generate a lot of student mobility, staff mobility in our upcoming cooperation.
Thanks a lot. We are joined by our Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh. Sir, if you can hear me.
Professor Sandeep.
So would you like to say a couple of, would you like to share your views on this tie-up that we are signing up with the university?
I think that in conclusion, Europe is always very close to the heart of MET family. We have been continuously exploring that how we can send hundreds of our students on exchange programs, how we can meaningfully look at internship experience, which is very, very important for us. Also, the faculty from Europe have been integrated in the various programs which we offer. To our partners and to our all speakers who are here. As you know, MET has got 16 universities in various foreign locations. We have got 12 universities in India, over 200 institutions worldwide, and all of you, you are an inspiration to our students worldwide. The intention of MET Group has been that we should be able to give a platform not only to MET students, but students from across the globe, who can come together and can do a part of their program in the various countries. I think the knowledge means diversity and inclusion. And if we look at today, how the word is, we have been told by various estimates, latest was the report of the World Bank, which shows that India is going to be amongst the top 3 economies of the world by 2030. And it's going to be among the superpowers by 2040. If that is so, the world has to understand that what India has to offer. Presently, I think that a lot of efforts are needed. Our Honorable Prime Minister and the Government of India is taking a lot of steps, including creating a platform where the people should be able to understand that how the new age university should look like. At MET also, under the very able leadership of our founder, Dr. Chauhan, and chancellors, we have been trying that how should we be able to make a difference into the life of our students by providing them unparalleled international exposure. Our students have been able to go to the various places of Europe. We in this conference were able to have campus in campus, including at Berlin, in Paris. The students have been going to various countries. We got one of the Spanish partners talking, Italian partner talking here. So I think that the word is one, and we need to understand that how we can transfer the credits freely towards the various universities. And that is the reason we are trying to create a network of universities through which if a student is studying in India or in Singapore or in Europe or America, Japan, if they want to do or transfer their free credits anywhere, they should be able to do that. And if that will happen, and I'm sure that is going to happen very soon, it will going to change the dynamics of the industry. I have with me the managing director of Adelphi University, who's going to speak to you in a short while. And next session is based on the US universities, but so privileged to see each one from Europe to be a part of this very exciting discussion which we had. My regards and thanks to all the speakers. Your coming has made this conference very special. We will keep on coming to you, and we will keep on taking best wishes from you. And with each one of you, we have agreements, and we want that we should strengthen our relationship in Europe in all times to come. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. Now is the time to facilitate our speakers. We are so pleased to announce Amity Global Academic Excellence Award to Professor Bakchik. So, Professor Bakchik, when we meet, we'll definitely hand over this particular certificate together with a memento to you. That would happen, I'm sure, very soon. We are pleased.
And Mr. Bakchik, we look forward to have our campus in Berlin. And this is our commitment to you that within next 1.5 years, we will devise programs where the students from both the universities will be able to freely go to each other, if not for the full term, then at least for a semester, and can do a program. But thank you so very much for coming here.
That sounds very good. Thank you so much. I'm very humbled to receive this award. Thank you so much for this appreciation and attention. And you know, based on your words, it's such a small world. Today, I'm at a workshop here in Kassel in Germany with some colleagues from the SRH system, and I was sitting at breakfast with a lady, and her name is Swati Shantna. And Swati studied at Amity University on your campus. Later, she came to SRH in Germany to do her master's. Afterwards, she got her PhD in Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. And now she's a colleague and professor at SRH in Heidelberg. So it's such a wonderful world we already are exploring together with Amity.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. And please convey our best wishes to her. But look forward to working very closely. And that is what the future is going to be. That if the international education is given to the students, then they will not be confined only to the frontiers of their home country, but will look and explore that how wonderfully they can integrate themselves for the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Bakchik. We shall take this particular relationship forward in a more meaningful way. We are so pleased to announce our next Amity Global Academic Excellence Award to Professor Mohammad Ashfaq.
I would like to thank you for this ownership, and thank you so much for organizing this wonderful event. And I believe Amity University is one of the leading global institutions, top ranked. They are doing great work in for the society, and this kind of events are super beneficial, and we are looking forward to collaborate together for achieving our mutual goals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for taking time off your schedule and accepting this particular invite. It was such a pleasure to listen to you. Thank you.
Dr. Ashfaq, and we look forward to build our various programs with you. I will be in Germany and in Europe in April and May. We look forward to visiting you. Germany is especially very close to Amity Foundation. Our founder and our chancellor, they have spent long years in Germany. They have more than 3 decades of experience in Germany, and we want to integrate. And we teach German in our university. But we look forward to create a program where our students can understand that what is so special in Germany, that they have been able to produce the best engineers of the world. And I think that in our business school, which is amongst the best in the world, and of course, amongst the top the universities and business school in Asia, we would like to integrate. You'll be happy to know that this business school was the first business school of the country where we were able to start with the artificial intelligence business intelligence and data analytics, and from this year, programs in metaverse and in new age technologies. So when the whole world was still thinking that how they should be able to teach in their engineering colleges AI, MIT was the one which was able to integrate that in the business programs. And that is a reason that at MIT University, we work very closely with our engineering school. I can see the director of our engineering school sitting here, and dean of our engineering school sitting here, and quite a few experts who are here, those who are from artificial intelligence, data analytics, and metaverse. But we will be visiting you very soon in April and May, and we will take it from there. Hopefully, we will have some presence in Germany soon. Thank you.
Sir, we are looking forward to meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are so pleased to announce Amity Global Corporate Excellence Award for Miss Sonia Parashar.
Thank you, gentlemen. I wish all the best to Amity University. Keep empowering the youth at your Amity University and train them with the German skilling, if possible, in the Indian ecosystem. And we have about 500 plus Indian companies now active also in Germany. So we need your young force, not just in Indo-German ecosystem here in India, but also in Germany. So all the best to you, and thank you very much for this Excellence Award.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you, Ms. Parashar. And it's an inspiration, as you know, that we work very closely with the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. But maybe we will invite you to the university. You have to speak to our students. We are going to create some special scholarships for our students along with you, where our students can go to Germany, and we can start study abroad program, which is concentrating now towards the German culture also. Thank you.
We are pleased to announce Amity Global Corporate Excellence Award for Mr. Manu Shade, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz Research and Development.
Thank you also from my side, Amity. I think when we had a chance to host an exclusive dinner with Ola Kalenius, we had a chance also to invite your founding chairman, Dr. Chauhan. Dr. Asim Chauhan was also there. And that's when I actually got to know about in-depth work done by MIT. It's really impressive what you guys are doing. We have been viewing this as more than just a Mercedes-Benz story. I think it really is a story between Germany and India that's unfolding right here for us in the name of R&D and under the aegis of our brand. Really happy to bring these two cultures together for us, and happy to share whatever else I could with MIT at a later point of time. Thank you very much for the award.
Thank you. And finally, we have Amity Academic Excellence Award to be given to Mr. Venkat. Mr. Venkat.
So thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for the recognition. And I strongly believe the vision of Amity and also the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. So we met already, we traveled together quite some time now. And very happy and looking forward to host you in Germany, as we're already 7 public universities and 5 private universities cluster in Germany, and very happy. I think more than 25,000 students actually part of this Indo-German cluster through our initiatives, and very happy to host you and looking forward. As once again, thanks for having me. In fact, I strongly believe in your visit. Even I'm physically here today, so I'm looking forward to it for more support and cooperations between India and Germany, and also especially Amity. Welcome you, sir, in Germany. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venkat. And this is our commitment that we will make a consortium with your 7 universities in Germany. And from this year onwards, we will create a program which is focusing on giving not only the German education, but giving the on-ground training to our students. We will create a 5 weeks long program. We are working on it, but we'll come back to you next week. We will look at the financials and we'll launch it very shortly. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
So thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in. We are so glad we had this conversation. I'm sure we are going to take all of these learnings forward as we go along. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.